Welcome to another edition of the ISB podcast. I'm your host, Sahil, here with Rahi for another day of the Euro quarterfinals. And we had some good matches today. Some powerhouses for those neutrals out there.
Yeah, some clashes of titans, there's no doubt. Interesting games. The Spain-Germany, probably the better of the two. Portugal-France felt like a heavyweight battle where no one was willing to really take a big swing. And it ended up being kind of what we would have predicted going in. When you say 0-0 penalties, you might have called that from the start of the day.
Yeah, so let's start off with the Spain-Germany match, of course. And what did you think about this one? Because there were some interesting swings. I thought Spain started off stronger, and then second half, after the 60th minute or so, Germany came back.
Yeah, it could have gone either way at times. I think the Spanish were stronger from the outset, looked like the better team for large periods of the game. And then I thought they ceded control in the second half. I thought they really sat back too far, let the Germans come, and the Germans came, and eventually were rewarded, I think, with the goal that they probably deserved at the end, right? It's an incredible moment to score, an incredible moment in the stadium for the host nation to get that goal as they did at that moment. And worst, I mean, he's showed up in big moments already, but at that moment, you have to be feeling it if you're the Germans, right? It felt like things were now going to go your way.
It's an interesting tactical decision, I thought, by La Fuente, where he took off Lamine Yamal and Nico Williams, and I thought that actually messed up sort of the dynamic of the nature of the team, and they became overly defensive, and they kind of absorbed a lot of pressure, and the Germans were very close to not winning it actually in regulation as well.
Yeah, they were close. They were close late, and you're right. It was a strange substitution, both of them, and it's funny because I think he benefited from an accidental situation, right, where Pedri going out, and then Dani Olmo ended up being the player of the game for Spain, right? And that's interesting because that's not on the coach. It's almost accidentally playing the best player just out of necessity. So I think from coaching perspective, a strange performance from him.
Yeah, we'll talk about Deschamps. I felt both of the coaches of the winning matches today made some mistakes, and they're actually lucky that they're going to be able to get through. But then, in extra time, it was very interesting because it was a back and forth. And then the big question of the day is, should Germany have had a penalty?
Yeah, I think the answer is yes. I think that is a penalty. It's hard with handballs because it's really a judgment call. No matter how much you look at it, VAR, etc., it's still a judgment call. And in that situation, it looks like the ball is headed towards the net, and it looks like the hand is pretty far away from the body. So the simple answer is probably yeah. I think it's a penalty, and I think the Germans have to feel that they were very hard done because that probably would have been the game right there, right?
Yeah, and Nagelsmann said something after the match that I think is very interesting. He said, we need to look this more like almost like cricket, where you see where the trajectory of the ball is. If it's going on net, it should be a penalty. If it's not, if it's going to the stands, then it shouldn't. And I thought that was actually very smart. And I think something like that needs to be implemented because there's still a lot of gray area.
Too much gray area. It's hard to tell, right? The hand playing the ball playing the hand. Is it natural position for the hand, et cetera, et cetera? It's all very confusing. And I think you're right. Fundamentally, should come down to is the hand blocking the ball from heading towards the goal. That's the main thing, right? Now, or is the hand blocking a pass that maybe could create danger? It's hard. In this case, it looked kind of clear. So I was actually pretty shocked they didn't give the penalty.
Yeah, what's interesting? I think then, of course, I didn't expect Spain to be the team actually. It looked in extra time. I thought Germany might nick it. But actually, Spain, credit to them. I mean, getting a goal like that at the end. It was a great move. Like you said, Dani Olmo, player of the match. He set it all up.
No, great cross, great move. I mean, the whole thing was surprising in ways because I thought Germany had the momentum. But Spain really played in extra time. They did. The Germans had their chances as well. Fulkrug with that late header. You thought he's going to show up again in a big moment for them. But credit to the Spanish. I think if you look at the entire 120 minutes, they probably were the better team and deserved to win this game. So they were a bit fortunate the way they scored the goal, just a late goal to win it. But it was a great move. And Olmo, again, involved as he was throughout the game. It's a great move. It's a great header. It's a great goal.
Yeah. And, the hosts go out. They'll feel a little bit unfortunate. It was a fantastic match, though, overall. So moving on to next. Oh, go ahead.
They had a good tournament. No, they had a good tournament. The Germans did well, and they have to be happy. I mean, they might have gone up against. It's tough for them to play Spain in the quarterfinal, right? It's difficult match, and they gave it everything. I think it's maybe the start of another German rebirth.
Yeah, yeah. And, traditionally they have struggled against Spain, and somehow Spain got them again. So, moving on to the next match of the day, a very different style of match. I thought this one was, was different, very different, and so many different storylines in this one. Obviously, Mbappe, being the big one. Of course, he was a little bit dysfunctional after the ball hit his nose.
Yeah.
But overall, like, what happened in this match?
It was a very
It was a
strange match,
strange
right?
match.
It was strange. It was very cagey. It was a typical Deschamps match where he kind of they were very tight. The French they limited opportunities at times. Portugal was happy to play on the counter, but then France was happy to play on the counter. It went back and forth. And towards the end of the game, it was very interesting that France ceded so much possession in extra time and late in the game, and were happy to really rely on not Mbappe, but Mr. Ousmane Dembele to do basically everything for them. And he had an incredible game, I thought. But it was very cagey. Both teams really afraid to make a mistake. And what that meant was it was a very, very tense game, but not a lot of chances created. So it had a strange feeling where you felt like something big was about to happen, just never did.
Yeah, and I think we mentioned Deschamps made a good move by taking out Griezmann and putting in Dembele, but he made
Great
some
move.
errors in this match. We felt some other errors in terms of taking out Cavaminga. We didn't understand that substitution.
Yeah, no, that was a strange one. Fofana came in and was fine, but Cavaminga was their best player at that moment. I mean, and then when Dembele came on, he was as well. But it's a strange move, and it really, I mean, they're fortunate to get through in penalties because I think they kind of ceded control of the game when they didn't need to.
So let's talk about that, because Nelson Semedo has a chance to win the match,
Yeah.
in the end of extra time, doesn't get there, and then you're thinking, okay, Diego Costa, he's gonna come up to his heroics again. But this is what I said in the last video. I also said, penalties, in my opinion, is a complete crapshoot on the day, and this is exactly my point. You come out, France has lost their last 3 penalty shootouts. Portugal won, in
Yeah.
great style with their goalkeeper saving 3 last time. And the tables turned today.
Yeah, you never know, right? He has an incredible record. Yeah, of course, in penalties, he's a penalty specialist. And you're right, it is luck because in the end, as you by statistics, you look at France, I think lost their last 3 penalty shootouts, right? Argentina in the final, they had the Switzerland in the Euros. So they've lost. They're not been typically that good in penalty shootouts. And so you'd say, yeah, Portugal should win this. I mean, they're the favorite to win this, but that's what penalties is, right? It's not doesn't go to form, and anything can happen. And you have to say the French penalties were incredible, excellent.
Yeah.
But I think the guy you failed to mention is Mike Magnan, who, yes, he didn't do anything he didn't save a penalty, but I thought he saved France throughout in regulation and was incredible. So they certainly have found the replacement, I think, and I think for Hugo Lloris, and I think this guy is a serious goalkeeper.
Yeah, and I think they've been practicing the penalties because, like you said, they were excellent on the day.
Excellent.
So, we won't touch on it. We won't touch on it too much. But now, obviously, Spain and France will play each other. Who's the favorite going in?
It's very difficult on form. You'd have to say Spain, right? The fact that France hasn't scored a goal from open play, and so you'd say that Spain has played very, very well throughout. But that, I think, would be to underestimate France a bit because they do seem to find ways, and Deschamps knows how to make this team compact, difficult to score against. And they do take their chances when they get them. Hopefully, for once, they may do it. I mean, they haven't done it yet, but you think that at some point they have to start scoring. It's very difficult to call. I mean, I think you have to say Spain are the favorites just because of how they performed to date and the fact that France has struggled to score. You'd count out France at your own risk, right?
Yeah, it's going to be a very fascinating match. I think a lot of tactical different decisions by both coaches, and they have a
Yeah.
chance to make up for their mistakes this particular match. So another day of exciting Euro action comes to a close. We'll be back tomorrow with more from the quarterfinals. If you've been enjoying these videos, please subscribe to the channel. And just another exciting day. Ale le blue and vamos
Blue.
España.
Ousmane
Let's go.
Dembele. I gotta say one shout out for Nelson Semedo because in that moment, to take that penalty when Portugal needed to score, to put that penalty was the best penalty of the entire shootout. To do that in that moment was incredible. So a little shout out to him for pressure packed situation coming through. But in the end of the day, it's Le Bleu.